What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to continue our 2023 college football predictions for the 2023 college football season. Up next, it's the Utah Utes, a team that won it all in the Pac-12 last year, winning the Pac-12 championship against the USC Trojans. This is a team that has a lot of production coming back this year in 2023. Looking at the production they have coming back, of course, Cam Rising back at quarterback. Definitely a veteran quarterback, a winning quarterback in the Pac-12. And this is a Utah team last year that I kind of picked to go to the college football playoff. I think that's not going to be the case this year. I think this is kind of a different Utah team, but I think this is definitely going to be still a talented team. They do have the talent to compete in the Big 12. So let's get right into it here with the schedule for the Utah Utes. Again, coming off a 10-4 season last year in 2022, winning the Pac-12 championship. You look at the schedule this year for this Utah team. Tough schedule for this Utah team. They have played Florida, Baylor on the road, and Weber State in the non-conference. They do have to play two Power 5 teams in the non-conference with Florida and Baylor out of the Big 12 there on the road. That's going to be a tough place to play, and they also have to go through almost the entire Pac-12. So, yeah, this schedule is really difficult for Utah, but let's go game by game and give you an official prediction for this Utah team. So they start things off here with a Week 1 matchup against Florida here out of the SEC. This is a rematch from last year's matchup, obviously a revenge game here for Utah. And, you know, it seems like Utah had a pretty good chance to win the game last year, but Florida started to pull away, and the Gators came out on top with a huge victory. But this is a Week 1 matchup here. Obviously a home game. Florida's got a lot of question marks heading into this year. They got Graham Mertz coming in, the transfer from Wisconsin, but I think Utah with home field advantage does play the difference here. And with that being said, I think Utah does get revenge here on the Florida Gators. And I think Utah starts out 2023 with a win at home against the Gators here, at home against Florida on September 2nd. Then it's Baylor after that on the road, so that you have to play back-to-back Power 5 teams, but you don't have to play them in both road games. Baylor is on the road, though. This is going to be definitely a really tough place to play. You know, Baylor is obviously a sleeper team in the Big 12. They are definitely a dark horse contender in the Big 12 as well. But, you know, we just don't know how good they're going to be. But, you know, Utah, this is not going to be an easy game. And with that being said, this is honestly a 50-50 game coming up for me here on September the 9th. Yes, it is in the month of September. Teams are not better by this time. And with that being said, I think Utah loses a pretty close game here against Baylor on the road. It's just a really tough game to call with that game. I just been going back and forth on that game for a little while, and I just thought I'd go with home field advantage. So I'm going to go with Baylor here to knock off Utah. Then they take care of business here against Weber State. Then they'll open up Pac-12 play here against UCLA at home. This is a UCLA team that has a lot of question marks heading into this year, but I think this should be a pretty good team still. I think they can keep this game a little bit closer than people might think it's going to be a blowout, but I think this is going to be a close game. Obviously, UCLA beat Utah last year at home. This year, it's a home game for Utah, so revenge is on their mind here. I'm going to go with Utah here to knock off UCLA. I think they get revenge here. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, though. I think it will be a high-scoring game. So I'm going to go with Utah here to knock off UCLA. Oregon State after that on the road here on September 29th. This game is on a Friday. A Oregon State team that's getting a lot of hype coming into this year. DJ Ogilvie coming in from Clemson. How good is he going to be there at that quarterback position with that new system at Oregon State? I think this will be a pretty good Oregon State team, maybe potentially a Pac-12 championship contender. Not really a college football playoff contender, perhaps. We'll just see how tough their schedule is going to be this year. But I think Utah, you know, they are the talented team here, but I think Oregon State, with them being at home, it's just obviously a tough game to call for me. I think the returning production is kind of similar for both of these teams as well. With that being said, I think Oregon State does knock off Utah here to give them their second loss here in the month of September. And I got Utah now falling to 3-2 on the season. Cal here coming up next on October the 14th. They get a bye week before playing this game. Cal's got a lot of question marks. I really don't see Utah having any problems in this game. I know it's a Pac-12 game. I mean, anything can happen in the Pac-12, but I just don't think Cal's going to be all that good this year. And with that being said, I think Utah wins this one pretty big. So I'm going to go with Utah here to knock off Cal on October the 14th, and I got Utah improving to 4-2. USC on the road after that on October the 21st, the rematch from last year's Pac-12 championship. Honestly, revenge is on their mind. Well, it's not a revenge game here for USC, but I think it's definitely a revenge game here in the regular season from last year. What a game it was last season. Probably one of the best Pac-12 regular season games of all time last season. And I think it's going to be like that again this year. You got two veteran experienced quarterbacks going at it. Caleb Williams, though, only in his second year at USC, but he's the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. And you're kind of expecting USC to roll over Utah in this game, but it won't be an easy one because USC's defense still has a lot of question marks. But this game is obviously a tough one to call, but with that being said, home field advantage does play here with USC. And with that being said, I think the Trojans do get revenge here on Utah here in the regular season matchup. And they might meet again here for the Pac-12 championship this upcoming season. You never know what can happen here, but I think USC does beat Utah here in the regular season. Then it's Oregon after that on October 28th. So you got really tough back-to-back games here with USC and Oregon. I mean, Oregon's got a lot of production coming back. They do have Bo Nix coming back at quarterback. He should be pretty good this year. And honestly, a Heisman Trophy candidate perhaps and a top 10 quarterback. You got two great quarterbacks here. I think this game is kind of similar to the USC game. I think it goes back and forth. And, Utah, though, has home field advantage. And with that being said, I think Utah pulls off a stunning upset here. I'm not going to probably say it's an upset, though. Maybe Oregon's not undefeated by this time, or maybe they're starting to fall apart. But this is going to be a back-and-forth game. I like Utah, though, in this game because of home field advantage. I just think I trust Cam Rising a little bit more than Bo Nix in this one. So I got Utah winning that one, improving to 5-3. Arizona State after that on November the 4th. This is a pretty good actually not a really good Arizona State team. I don't know what I'm saying there, but Arizona State is a team that's kind of in a rebuild mode. They're kind of kind of getting used to the new head coach and everything. I think this game is kind of similar to the Cal game. I really don't expect Arizona State to be all that good this year. With that being said, I think Utah does get a win here on November the 4th against the Sun Devils. So I got Utah improving to 6-3. Washington on the road after that on November the 11th. You got back-to-back road games here with Washington and Arizona. Washington, though, first. This is a team with a lot of production coming back, including Michael Penix at quarterback. And when you look at the Pac-12 this year, there's a lot of teams that are returning their starting quarterbacks from last season that are really capable of winning a Heisman Trophy this next season. Michael Penix is one of those guys, but Washington's got a lot of talent on both sides of the football. Especially the defense. That defense is loaded. It could be one of the top defenses in the Pac-12. But with that being said, this game is going to be pretty close. I think it's going to go back and forth. Maybe it's a short-scoring game. You never know. But I think Washington is the better team here. And honestly, home field advantage does play them out. And with that being said, I'm going to go with Washington here to knock off Utah here at home against Utah here. And Utah falls now to 6-4. Arizona after that on the road. So you're coming off a pretty tough loss to Washington on the road the past week. And this is kind of like a trap game for Utah. I think this is one of those trap games for Utah where they kind of struggle a little bit. I don't think Arizona is going to be that bad of a team. I just don't know how good they're going to be. That's the question that I really have concerns about for Arizona. I just don't know how good they're going to be. I know they went 5-7 last year, but it's just really hard to tell how good they're going to be. And with that being said, though, I think Utah does pull off a win here against Arizona, but it will be a close game. I think it's going to come down to the wire. But I think Utah will, at the end of the day, survive a close one here on the road at Arizona. Then it's Colorado here to end things out for Utah here on November 25th. And this is a Colorado team that you kind of don't want to play in the month of November if you are a Utah player or the Utah coaching staff. Colorado is going to be a pretty good team. They do have, some guys coming in from the transfer portal, but I mean, the question is, how good will they be in their first year under Coach Sanders? It's really hard to tell. But, the game is at home for Utah. I kind of expect this one to be a close one in the first half. But I think Utah will pull away in the second half. And I got Utah beating Colorado here to end out 2023 with a win over the Colorado Buffaloes. And that's the prediction for Utah. My prediction for Utah Utes is 8-4 for 2023. This schedule, though, is pretty tough for Utah. You look at the schedule. I mean, Florida and Baylor in the non-conference, Oregon State, USC, and Washington on the road. But don't sleep on that Arizona game. That's definitely a trap game for this Utah team. It wouldn't really shock me if Utah did go 7-5 in 2023, but it would really shock me if they got to 10 wins once again with the schedule that they're playing with. So, but Utah, my official prediction for this Utah team is 8-4 in 2023. Let me guys know what you think about this Utah team. What do you think their record will be in 2023? And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.